How's it going, guys? James here from Butler Farms on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Man, we've gotten a lot done around here today. Had several people in the family out here helping. We got a lot of the yard cleaned up. Guys, we are still picking up from the storms back in August. Still got stuff that we're down to the stuff that we're raking up out of the yard now because it's almost time to start cutting grass. And then we had those storms come through last weekend that you saw the update on, and had, you know, just minor branches and stuff down. So man, we've gotten a lot done today. And so I've been adding a lot to my little compost pile. I did a little short the other day saying that I'm out of compost. That's not exactly true. I may have a couple of wheelbarrow loads left. I've got to fertilize my blueberry bushes, fertilize my fruit trees this weekend. So what little bit I have is going to be gone. I'm not going to be able, I don't put it around my blueberry bushes, but I do put it around my fruit trees. And there's no possible way that I'm going to be able to go as deep with it as I want to. And it's just, you know, I neglected starting or building a new compost pile, and now I'm kind of behind the 8 ball. I'm probably going to make it through this spring. Not as well as I wanted to, simply because I really like to put a good thick layer of compost as kind of a mulch that breaks down and just adds to the soil, and it's just good stuff. But like I said, I got behind, and before I realized it, the compost pile just went completely down, just using it up. But I am starting a new compost pile, and I wanted to bring you along as I do that. The last compost pile that I had, man, it was easy, because when we had our house built, the guys that came through cutting the right-of-way for the power line to come up to our house obviously had a chipper truck. And while they were here, I said, hey, you know, what are you going to do with those chips? And it was all hardwood chips, all off our place here, no pine in it at all. I'm not a big fan of putting pine in a compost pile. I don't know that there's anything wrong with it. I don't usually do it. And they said, well, I guess we'll have to go find a place to dump it. And I said, if I wanted it, could you dump it here? He said, we would love to dump it here. It saves us gas, it saves us time, and you know, if we can't find anybody to take it, we're gonna have to pay to dump it somewhere. And so I had a ready-made compost pile. Man, he dumped a load of chips, hardwood chips out here that was about head high, and I'm 6 foot tall. And so I added a bunch of greens to it, and man, it broke down over the next couple of years and just kept going and kept going. I kept adding to it and kept adding greens to it, and it just kept on going. But now it's kind of at the end of its life cycle, and like I said, I didn't do my due diligence to get another one started. So I'm gonna walk right up here. It is dry out here, as you can hear under my feet, and I'm gonna show you what I got going on here. We're gonna call this episode 1 of a compost pile. That is about as pitiful as it gets, but you know, you got to start somewhere. So what this is a bunch of limbs and branches out of the yard, and you can see that I've broken them down into pretty small pieces here. Guys, the thing with compost is, with your browns, with your carbons, the smaller you can get them to begin with, the quicker they're going to break down. That just makes sense. And so I took the time to compost or to break those down as small as I could. I even had some shavings from where I had busted some firewood that out of the woods that had fallen, and you know, just some old stuff like this. I know that's kind of big, but it's already half broken down anyway. Don't mind my little dog here. She's trying to help me out, I guess. And then I've piled a bunch of leaves on top of it. Now inside there, I have already put a bunch of we had some old lettuce that was about to go bad. It was a little bit too far to make a salad out of, but it was perfect for the compost pile. I've been putting my coffee grounds every morning out here. That's a green, and so I'm just going to keep on adding to it. The camera really doesn't do it justice. This is about 2.5, 3 foot high already. It's mostly just sticks and leaves, so there's a ton of browns in it. They say that you need about 3 to 1 browns to greens. And so I'm not real concerned about how bad it looks right now, because I've got to get that big layer of browns in there before you know, I can really do anything about it. When somebody dumps a whole truckload, one of the big chipper truckloads full of chips in your yard, that's what I'm saying when I say that you know, kind of, I don't guess it's cheating, but got a big jump start. Now I've got to go find stuff that I can put on that pile, and trust me, you can look behind me and see where we are here. That's not going to be a big deal, but it is time consuming to be able to get it started. Once I get it started, it's not going to be that big a deal, and I can just keep building off of it. But right now I'm just worried about getting the browns in there, and just getting a big pile, and then I'll start adding my greens to it, like the coffee grounds, like the lettuce leaves, the trimmings out of the kitchen, stuff like that. Now that it's almost time to cut grass, that's going to help too, because I've got some spots in the yard that have some I have some spots that have some pretty weedy grass in it, but most of my grass around here is pretty good centipede grass, and we're a long way from it going to seed. That's at the end of the summer. So what I'll do is close to where this compost pile is, I will cut and throw it to the inside and pile it all up, and while it's still good and green, I'll come dump it up here. Now if you wait too long, you've turned it into a brown instead of a green, so I'll do that the same day and dump it on top of there. Now one thing that you need to remember, and I'm getting ready to do this as soon as I get through this video, is I'm going to drag the hose pipe down here and I'm going to start wetting those leaves down. Start wetting. It's got to stay moist, it's got to stay wet to start breaking down, and that's a struggle here because the hose pipe is way up there. But it's just one thing that's got to be done. And so I'll come out here every 3 or 4 days, I'll spray it down real good, and when this stuff starts breaking down, I'll start stirring. I'll get my pitchfork, I'll turn it, turn the outside stuff in and things like that, and it'll, by next spring, that pile right there will be big enough for me to do everything I need with compost, including some raised beds that I'm going to try to put in place for this winter. I don't know that I'm going to have time to get it done, but I'm going to try. So that compost pile should be able to supply me all of next year, just simply because of paying attention to it, keeping it moist, keeping it turned, keeping it fed, and moving on from there. But all is not lost, because like I said, I got a couple of wheelbarrow loads full of the old compost left. But if you've been watching my videos, I did a video on leaf mold, and I thought I'd used it all. I don't remember leaving this much down here, but let me show you right here real quick what I got going on. This is the old leaf mold pile. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. Nope, that's as far as it's going to go. Look right here, guys. Let me get down in here. It's kind of dry on top, but let me get up under here. And when I'm stirring that if you have ever used active compost or leaf mold that is completely finished, the smell coming out of there, you understand what I'm talking about. Look at that. Just as moist, broken down. You can't see any leaf parts in there. When I found it this morning, when I was coming down through here, I found a bunch of worms in it. It's not thick. You can see it goes way out there, comes around here. It's only here in the middle. It's going to be about 1 foot thick. Out here on the sides, it's about 6 or 8 inches thick. Guys, just look at that. That is beautiful stuff. So you know, that the effort that I put in of bringing my leaves down here and piling them up and wetting them, keeping them stirred, like I said, I'd forgotten all about this. But that is going around my fruit trees. I'll come down here with the pitchfork and load that up in the wheelbarrow too. That is going to be wonderful, wonderful stuff for those fruit trees. Just look down here. I mean, that is good looking stuff, just as thick as it can be. I don't see any worms right now, but they were in there earlier. Now, one last thing before I let you go. I've told you about some other channels that I watch on a regular basis, and one of them is Deep South Homestead. And one thing that Danny does down on his place is, you know, I call that active composting, because I'm putting work, I'm putting effort into it. I'm turning it, I'm keeping it moist. I'm trying to get you out of the sun where I can see you there. It's late in the afternoon. And so I have to put effort into that. Now, I call, you know, and I guess he does that too, but one thing that I see him do on a regular basis is what I call passive composting. And he's got a big place there, and so when they have limbs, they have just stuff in the yard they need to get rid of, he takes it to the edge of their property and piles it up and just leaves it, forgets about it, and comes back the next year, piles more on top of it, kind of stirs it up with his tractor, takes his bucket and rakes it out and piles it back up. So there's not a lot of physical effort into it, and what happens is he gets a bunch of compost and soil, just black, nice, beautiful soil that he puts in his high tunnels, and he puts in just different places. If you watch his videos, you'll hear him talking about it. Well, when we had those storms last August, look here what we got right here. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. This is big stuff in here. But guys, this pile was about half again as high, I guess, 4 months ago. It's already broken down some. You can see some of it still has leaves on it out there. We keep throwing stuff on top of it. Yeah, it's going to take a few years, but I'm not in any hurry. I've got my active compost piles. This is all going to break down. I can come in here with my tractor and stir it up as it keeps breaking down, and what's under there at the end is going to be amazing, guys. So, you know, there's another idea. There's also another brush pile. My wife doesn't like this brush pile so close to the house. She is not a fan of snakes. I've never gotten a snake out of this brush pile, but she swears that it's going to happen. But you can see right down there at the kind of the edge of where it drops off into the woods, when I get a big load of junk out of the yard, I put it in the bucket of my tractor and I go dump it right down there. So there's another spot that's going to be just full of good soil, good compost one of these days. So, you know, we've got compost being made actively. Like I said, I've got to put the effort and the time into that. I've got to keep it moist. I've got to keep it stirred, and that will be ready next year. This right here will not be ready next year, but one day, through nothing I'm doing, just through natural processes, it's going to be ready, and you know, I'll be able to use it too, and it'll be black gold, I can guarantee you. All right, so that's part one of the compost, the new compost pile. As I go along, and as it starts to break down and we start having active compost, I'm going to bring you along that. A lot of people ask me about that all the time, about compost. The number one thing about compost, before I let you go, if you read a lot of the stuff out there, you can get real into the weeds and real particular about compost. Guys, don't do that. It's pretty simple. It's about 75% browns. When I'm talking about browns, I'm talking about dead, crunchy leaves. I'm talking about sticks and stuff, you know, and then your greens, the kitchen trimmings, the lettuce like I threw out. Coffee grounds count as greens, and you know, that's kind of your activator that starts the process of breaking it down and starting that process. Don't make it harder than it has to be. You don't have to have these tumblers and these barrels, and I mean, they're nice, I guess. I've never owned one. I don't know. I can't speak from experience, but they look like more of a hassle than anything else when I can just do that right there. And you know, you may not have the room for that like I do, but you know, if you do, just remember, enjoy it. Just experiment with it. You'll be surprised at how fast it breaks down and how much it does for your plants. And you know, don't stress about it. You know, gardening and trying to be more sustainable, yeah, I mean, there's a little pressure there to try to do more and more every year. But the thing about it is, if it's not fun, it's work. And I don't want this to be work. This is what I enjoy. This is what I do. This is what I do when I'm not at work. So just remember that, and you know, everything will be good. So this video's gone longer than it should have, but I will catch you up on the next time I bring stuff out here to the compost pile. Just keep watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, guys. Please tell a friend. When you watch a video, please hit that thumbs up button. That all helps, and the word's starting to get out. We're starting to grow again. That's a good thing. So keep helping me out any way you can, and I'm gonna get out of here. I got to go get the grill ready. Boss lady wants some ribs tonight, so I'm gonna go sit down for a little while and do that. So until next time, God bless. This is James from Butler Farms, and we'll be seeing you.